Hello, friends. Welcome back to Transcendent Astrology and Tarot. My name is Michelle Fondin. I'm an author, speaker, astrologer, and tarot reader. And this video today is about the Mercury-Chiron conjunction that has been happening since March 20th of 2024, and it will come exact for the third time on May 6th of 2024. In this video, we're going to talk about what that means for you, a deep analysis into the meaning behind these three Mercury-Chiron conjunctions in 2024. And we're going to try to help you understand how you can move through this conjunction, as well as transcending the limitations within your own chart. So if you're interested, please do stay tuned. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you for subscribing below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. And thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. I do astrology and tarot readings. You can book that at my website, michellefondinauthor.com. So let's talk a little bit about Chiron, which is a small planet, a dwarf planet, but it's also a comet and it's also an asteroid. It's been classified as all three of these things since its discovery. But let's just consider that Chiron is an asteroid. It is called the Wounded Healer. If you want a deeper dive into Chiron, I did go a little bit deeper into Chiron in my video on the total solar eclipse that happened on April 8th of 2024. And I'll just put that link here so you can just scroll to the information on Chiron. Chiron, the Wounded Healer, which if you look at it as an analogy, it's kind of like the therapist that goes into therapy because of their own core wounds. So they have a lot of core wounds, they discover psychology, and they say, hey, I'm going to become a therapist to help other people. So that's the essence of Chiron, the Wounded Healer. Wherever Chiron happens to be in your birth chart by house and sign is where the concentration of that core wounding for you happens to be. So when looking at the Mercury-Chiron conjunction in 2024, it's really important that you look first to what house that happens to fall in your birth chart. Now, the house is going to matter on your ascendant. And as you know your ascendant and your birth time, of course, to have your ascendant, then you have an accurate house system connected to that. And then you can know which house Chiron happens to fall in your natal chart. But regardless of that, Chiron in Aries in your chart and the house that that's in is going to impact how you interpret this Mercury-Chiron conjunction. Now, Chiron in and of itself are those wounds that are underneath the surface. They're underneath the surface that we don't talk about every day. We don't see every day, but they are the knee-jerk reactions that sometimes cause things like self-sabotage. Or they're the core woundings where we feel very hurt and we don't understand why. We don't understand the source of that hurt. But in 2024, I believe through these conjunctions, a lot of these wounds are coming to the surface, especially in Aries, which is all about the self. Let's talk a little bit about Chiron in Aries very specifically, because I think this is the starting point to understanding how this conjunction with Mercury is going to impact you in your own life. Now, of course, if you, for example, have Chiron in Scorpio in your birth chart, that's going to look a lot different for your inner core woundings. But if you have Chiron in Aries in your natal chart, then this is going to double down on the injuries, the wounding of Chiron in Aries in 2024. But it's going to deeply impact everybody because when we go around the wheel, the zodiac wheel, they represent different areas of your spiritual development, your psychological development, your human development. And as it moves through the houses, you're also going through those different areas and aspects of your life. It just so happens that since 2018. And the precise date is Chiron entered Aries on April 17th of 2018. That began this specific type of healing. Chiron in Aries is all about not feeling worthy, not feeling seen, feeling unheard and unseen. It really pertains to your value and worth, like the feelings of value and worth. The wounding of Chiron in Aries is really like me, trying to find a place in this world and have a strong identity and have strong self-worth. But that's not always what happens with Chiron's wounding in Aries. It's usually quite the opposite, where you have a personality, you have a presence on Earth with your Chiron in Aries, but you don't feel that it's adequate. You feel that it might even be weak. And so because you feel that your presence on Earth or your presence here is weak, you have a tendency to self-efface. And you self-efface to try to help others, to serve others, for others' good and not your own. And then you have a lot of resentment. And you might even have the martyr complex or the martyr syndrome. A healed Chiron is, I have the right to be here. I have the right to take up space. I have the right to show my presence, show my worth and value. So it's quite the opposite of what the wounding of Chiron in Aries means. Now, of course, this is going to manifest very differently if Chiron in Aries in 2024 is in your 10th house versus if Chiron in Aries is in your 5th house. So it's going to look really different for each individual, although those themes are going to be omnipresent. The themes of like, am I being seen? Am I being heard? Am I allowed to be present and show my presence in this world? Now, before we go into the conjunction with Mercury and other planetary points, let's first go through the history of the first date that Chiron entered Aries, which is April 17th of 2018. Now, I would like you to go back in time and look at what was happening in your life on April 17th of 2018. What significant events were taking place in your life in April of 2017? What did it look like? What was changing for you? What was your living situation? What were your relationships like? What kind of job did you have? Were you in school? Were you graduating school? So what did your life look like on April 17th of 2018? Now, of course, I want you to keep in mind the house placement of Chiron and Aries for you, and just know that that's the area of life that's going to pertain to. Now let's look at the fast forward into this Mercury-Chiron conjunction and the dates for 2024. So the first time in 2024 that Mercury and Chiron were exact was on March 20th, which of course is the spring equinox, 2024 at 10:26 a.m. Pacific time at 18 degrees, 17 minutes of Aries. The second Mercury-Chiron conjunction that became exact was on April 15th, 2024 at 8:23 a.m. Pacific time at 19 degrees, 48 minutes Aries. And we must remember that on that second conjunction on April 15th, that Mercury was retrograde. And the third, Mercury stations direct on April 25th of 2024, but the third Mercury-Chiron exact conjunction is happening on May 6th of 2024 at 7:26 p.m. Pacific time at 21 degrees, 2 minutes of Aries. We're going to go into the specifics of those three conjunctions because I feel like by May 6th, by the third conjunction, if you do your deep reflection, if you connect the dots with the entry point of Chiron in Aries on April 17th of 2018, and then the Mercury-Chiron conjunction on March 20th of this year, and again on April 15th of this year, and then the third time on May 6th of this year. By May 6th, you will have figured it out. You will have figured out this point of wounding so that you can actually take action to heal it. So you can be seen and you can be heard. And there are a lot of planetary support so that you can feel seen and heard, because you're going to find those wounds. If you're watching this video, I assure you will find those wounds to be able to heal. Let's talk about Mercury for just 1 second. Mercury is the messenger of the gods. Mercury can also be known as the trickster. Mercury is connected to the mind, logic, and reasoning. Mercury is also connected to consciousness itself. Mercury is connected to all forms of communication, to short distance travel, modes of transportation. It is the lower octave of Uranus, Uranus is considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury signifies the power to overcome the gap that exists between separate entities. So it's the connection point. Let's now look at Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It is the start, the fire starter. It's initiative. It is drive. It's ruled by Mars, the planet of action, moving forward. It's pioneering. It has an impulse to initiate, to start things, to move things, to get going. Aries doesn't always have a plan, but it's going to get things started and get things moving, take action to initiate. When we think about the whole global concept of Chiron in Aries, Aries being ruled by Mars, a yang energy, and Chiron being the wounded healer, while it's sitting in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, I would say this is about the start, the initiation, the start of the uncovering of these core wounds for you. Perhaps you had an opportunity in the past to start with that, but maybe you didn't. Maybe this is the first time ever that Chiron happens to be in transit in Aries in your lifetime. So I believe this is a great starting point. And of course, Chiron will be here in Aries until 2026. So there is ample opportunity after these 3 conjunctions with Mercury to get it started and to finish the work before the end of Chiron in Aries, which is great. It gives you a couple of years to sort this out once you've discovered what those core woundings are. Let's talk about the first conjunction that happened on March 20th of 2024 at 10:26 a.m. Pacific time at 17 degrees Aries. Now, Mercury was getting ready to go retrograde. Of course, Mercury at this time was slowing down, getting ready to go retrograde. The sun at this date entered 0 degrees Aries as we started Aries season, which is kind of cool. So we get this first conjunction, Mercury-Chiron exact, as the sun is entering Aries, which is representing newness, the new season, the new astrological year, the sun shining a light on Aries and making it significant. So I believe this is just so powerful and significant. Now there's a second reason why it is so strong and significant, especially with this first conjunction, is that we have the North Node, which is also conjunct Chiron and Mercury. Mercury is still direct. It hasn't gone retrograde yet, but now it's sandwiched with North Node. The North Node is our future pull. It's our soul's calling toward our life path and purpose. It's our soul's calling to our future selves. It's that little phone call that says, hey, are you on your right life path? Where are you going? And I believe, again, this is all divinely guided, that we are right here, right now in 2024, and this beautiful conjunction is happening in Aries, and the North Node is there to help direct the way to the path forward instead of the path backward. Another interesting conjunction is that Venus is conjunct Saturn in Pisces, which is a very spiritual sign, and Mercury-Chiron are sextile Mars in Pisces. Now, this gives us gentleness. Mars is not a gentle planet or a gentle energy, but Mars in Pisces is a gentle energy. Sextile means it's a very nice aspect. And so I believe this is Mars giving Chiron and Mercury a very gentle helping hand. Very gentle. Because Mars does not have its power in Pisces as much as it has in Aries. And so as we start to recognize the core wounding of Chiron, Mercury is starting to give it a voice. Mercury is connecting the dots because Mercury is that connector of communication and movement. And so Mercury is easing into Chiron and saying, you can move these wounds to the surface and you can start to give these wounds a voice. And Mars in Pisces is okay with that. Mars in Pisces says, I'm kind of weak here, but I'm going to give you a gentle spiritual push so that this can actually happen. And the North Node is there, again, giving you that push towards your future, towards your soul's calling. And it's just a beautiful, gentle start and nudge to uncovering, moving, surfacing those core wounds. The other aspect I'd like to talk about, Mercury-Chiron trine the moon in Leo. Leo is all about bravery and independence and the lion, but the king. And when you have the wounding, the core wounding that makes you feel insignificant, especially in Aries, like I'm not seen and I'm not heard, and I don't really have a voice because I just can't stand alone. The moon in Leo is this gentle inner bravery saying you can do it. You can stand on your own 2 feet. You can be seen, you can be heard, and you can do this all on your own to find your footing, to be present and show your presence in the world. Because what do Leos do? They show their presence. And all these gentle nudges I feel in that first conjunction on March 20th of 2024 is helping you to find the words to be seen and to be heard. Also, on March 20th, it may have been the first inklings of you not owning your power, or the knowledge of you not owning your power, or maybe giving your power away. And maybe you had never realized this before about yourself. And maybe that was the first set of realizations that you said, like, wow, I never really noticed it about myself. I thought that I was just helping others to rise to the top or become individuals. I never knew that that was coming at a detriment to my own individuality, to my own becoming in this world. Let's move to the second conjunction that just happened not too long ago. On April 15th of 2024, Mercury was retrograde at that time at 8:23 a.m. Pacific time at 19 degrees, 48 minutes Aries. This one is super interesting because we have this fabulous lineup in Aries. It is incredible. So Venus has just joined the North Node in Aries, and it is conjunct the North Node. Now, Venus is love, devotion. It is feminine, yin, power of beauty. And it makes everything that it touches more beautiful and loving and kind. And it is conjunct the North Node, which is conjunct Chiron and Mercury. We've also got the sun right there. The sun is not terribly far away. The sun is sitting at 26 degrees of Aries. So we've got this bunch together. We've got Venus, the North Node, Chiron, Mercury, and the sun. I feel that the sun is shining more light on these issues. Venus is gently pointing them out with the North Node, like helping the North Node say, look, this is your future pull. I know it's difficult to take a look at your core woundings, but this is your future. If you're going to move toward the highest sense of your spiritual self, this is your future. But Venus is there to be the loving, feminine, soft energy to support that. It's really like, okay, you're going to see this pain, your wounds, but I'm here to love you through it. And even though Mercury is retrograde during this second conjunction, Mercury retrograde is about the introspection. It's about really digging deep inside of yourself to go, okay, I'm going to self-communicate now. I'm going to talk myself through this wounding, and I might be able to journal about it. I might be able to draw some conclusions about it. I might be able to give myself love and compassion, self-compassion, self-forgiveness around these core wounds and not blame myself, because that's Venus. That's Venus on top of the North Node. It's like Venus is saying, hey, you got to love on yourself. Mercury retrograde is also saying, if we communicate these core wounds, then you got to be gentle with yourself. Chiron, I feel, is so well surrounded during this conjunction on April 15th. I feel that all of these planets in Aries are helping with this wounding and this healing at this time. You might come to some realizations, like you've been squashing your needs for people pleasing. You've been squashing your needs for the needs of others, or you've been playing martyr or playing the victim. And that's when you really have to go inside and go, okay, I'm going to be self-compassionate because I didn't realize that. I didn't realize I was doing that. With Venus and Aries, you might also realize that you've been working too hard to be loved. And that's a big one. That could be a huge core wounding that you realize at this time. This whole phase during the second Mercury-Chiron conjunction was really more about introspection, realizations, rather than the problem solving. I believe the problem solving actually comes on May 6th, 2024, at that third Mercury-Chiron exact conjunction, which is happening at 21 degrees, 2 minutes Aries at 7:26 p.m. Pacific time. I call this the superpowered conjunction to be seen and heard. So Mars is going to help out here. Mars is now in its home sign, Aries. Now Mars packs a punch. Mars is the yang planet, the warrior planet. Mars is the fire starter. Mars starts things. Mars is like, move forward with this already. And I believe Mars is also bringing more power to the Mercury-Chiron conjunction here. Now, Mercury is also direct. Again, Mercury turned direct on April 25th. And so by May 6th, we're not quite out of shadow, but almost. And directness means that whatever you discovered and had an inner dialogue about, you can now begin to communicate to the outer world. You can begin to communicate those wounds, the inner healing. You can talk about it in therapy. You can talk about it with your friends. You can talk about it with your lovers. You can go out there and air it out. Talk about it. Find the solutions for it. Finally be seen. Finally be heard. And Mars is going to help you do this. Look, the North Node is still there. The North Node is still there with Mercury and Chiron, but it is separating. So it's like, I've done my job. I've got you on the right track, Mercury, Chiron. I've got you on the right track, but now I'm going my separate way. You're going your separate way. The impact of what I told you during those first two conjunctions, you've got to take the reins and go with it. And Mars is going to help you do that exactly. Mars is going to help you move forward with those realizations, with those insights to be seen and heard. But it will also cause you to take action to do that. And I believe that is the beautiful final note of this third conjunction, because here's the thing, guys. It is very rare that we would have Chiron and the North Node in Aries together with this Mercury-Chiron conjunction. It's really rare that that would occur, and that the North Node is about the evolution of your soul. North Node is about your future pole. I believe that the start of the healing of your core wounds is what your soul wants you to do. So it is no mistake that this is happening at this specific time with this type of awareness that is coming to those of us who have been interested in astrology, spirituality, tarot, and all of the spiritual things. It's no mistake that this really powerful conjunction in Aries with Mercury and the North Node is happening so that we can purge, we can get rid of, we can move out of that negative energy that is holding us back, causing self-sabotage, and maybe causing us to have martyrdom syndrome, and really move into our individual power to be able to stand up on our own 2 feet, to be seen, to be heard, and really move into our inner personal power. So let's take a look at what the tarot has to say. I'm going to pull 3 cards from each deck. They're going to represent the 3 conjunctions. The first one on March 20th of 2024, the second one on April 15th, and the third one on May 6th with Mercury and Chiron conjunct. So what is the first conjunction teaching us, please and thank you? On March 20th, 2024, Mercury, Chiron, and Aries. 9 of Cups in reverse, a hollow feeling. You know, I feel like this has come out before recently. Emptiness, imbalance, addiction, self-indulgent, materialism, selfish. So here's the thing. When we have the core wounding of I am not seen, I am not heard, my voice doesn't matter, my position in life does not matter. When we have that feeling, it's a hollow feeling, right? It's like emptiness inside. A lot of times that can cause people to go toward substances, substance abuse, and then people pleasing leaves you with a hollow feeling. Because we think people pleasing is going to get us what we want. But if we don't feel seen and heard as a person, as an individual, then we do feel empty. And that causes us to be more selfish. People pleasing actually causes us to be more selfish because we're not telling the truth about who we are. Okay, so for the second conjunction, please and thank you. The second conjunction, which happened on April 15th of 2024 between Mercury, the North Node, Chiron, Mercury retrograde. What was the meaning? Queen of Coins, impeccable taste, organized, grounded, nurturing. The one thing about the Queen of Coins or the Queen of Pentacles is that the Queen of Pentacles is nurturing. She knows how to nurture others, but she also knows how to nurture herself. She also knows how to nurture herself. What do we say about that second conjunction is that Venus came into the picture with the North Node to provide some nurturing to the situation, to support Chiron and the North Node, to come in to nurture this situation. The other thing that the Queen of Coins reminds me of is abundance. And in that second conjunction on April 15th, there was an abundance of support around Chiron, an abundance of support. And I really believe that that's what this is about, is Chiron was receiving all kinds of support, even though Mercury was retrograde. So what is the message for the third conjunction, Mercury, Chiron in Aries, that's happening on May 6th of 2024? Death, external change. I love it. It's death upright. External change. You've got to be kidding me, guys. Oh my goodness. Complete renewal abrupt changes, total overhaul, new start, letting it go. Yes. So on May 6th, it's like a total overhaul, letting it go. External changes can be made, right? And that's exactly how I explained this third conjunction with Mercury and Chiron. Mercury is direct. They're separating from the North Node. And the North Node has already given them the blessing saying, I've shown you your future, you can see it. Now's the time to take action to heal those wounds. Now's the time to take action to heal those wounds. We've got new beginnings, fresh starts, letting it go, let go of the past. I love this. I love this as a message for that third Mercury-Chiron conjunction, because the death card, when we think of death, we think of something dark. We think of darkness. We think of something scary and unknown. I really feel like Chiron in the wounds that are beneath the surface that you don't really pay attention to because it's automatic for you. It's something that you don't often take a look at because it's dark and it's scary. But now that they've been brought to the surface, it's like, all right, well, you know what? I can deal with this and change them. Solutions for the first conjunction on March 20th of 2024. Solutions for the first Mercury-Chiron conjunction, March 20th, 2024. The Fool in reverse. Only fools rush in. The Fool card in reverse. Well, this makes total sense. The Fool is about the child. So the Fool is actually, I feel the Fool in tarot is represented by Aries. Here it does not say Aries, it shows Aquarius for some reason. That's the authors of the cards, right? The author of the cards did this. I feel like the Fool is the small child. The Fool is the small child who is just emerging in the world, getting to know the world, learning about the world. And Aries is very much that. Aries is learning about the world. Aries is initiating things to test things out in the world. And I feel like the Fool in reverse here with that first Mercury-Chiron conjunction is like jumping into that wounding, jumping into looking at it, realizing it, and maybe not understanding how deep those wounds were. And it's like, oh my God, I just rushed into this. I looked at these wounds, Chiron and Aries, and I didn't realize there was so much here to look at. And I feel like the solution is actually, it was to go into that anyway. That's the thing. I feel like, yeah, you may look foolish by looking at all the core wounds that you have and have had, but I feel like that was the right way to go anyway. You needed to do that. And let's look at the second one, second conjunction, Mercury-Chiron with Mercury retrograde that happened on April 15th of 2024. Solution here. Let's reshuffle. Nothing came out. Let's reshuffle that. Six of Wands in reverse. The pride before the fall. Six of Wands in reverse. The pride before the fall. The one thing you do need to let go of when you are doing this introspection on the wounding, on the self-sabotage, on the martyr syndrome, on the victim consciousness, is letting go of your pride. Is you just need to let go of your pride. And I feel like it's easy. It's really easy to smooth over what nobody sees, right? And that's what that second conjunction is about. It's internal. It's not necessarily what everybody sees, but it's what you are seeing. You're seeing your own self-sabotage. You're seeing the ways in which you've played the martyr or played the victim. You're seeing the ways in which you have not allowed yourself to be seen or be heard, because oftentimes it has come from your own feelings of inadequacy. And sometimes it can be easy to be prideful and go, all right, I'm not going to change. I want to remain the same. This has worked for me so far. And I feel like in taking a look at this, you're just going to need to let go of that pride, even though it's going to leave you vulnerable and it's going to hurt and it's not going to be pretty most of the time. But there is that solution for the third conjunction on May 6th, which is the external changes that are taking place. So what else can you tell us about the Mercury-Chiron conjunction that is happening on May 6th of 2024, separating from the North Node? Three of Wands in reverse. Again, it's in reverse and it says lacking foresight. Wow, all these reversals. I feel that somehow this could be a resistance to making external changes, the resistance to making external changes. My advice to you, because look, this is an Aries card, it's Sun in Aries, it's reversed. I believe that in order for you to make all the external changes that you're going to need to make to heal the core wounding of Chiron in Aries, is you're going to have to look toward the long term. Not the short term, but you're really going to have to look toward the long term. Aries as a sign does not consider the long term. Aries is the fire starter, so it thinks about the beginning. It does not necessarily think about the middle or the end. And I feel like if you stop yourself from making the external changes that everything taught you leading up to that third Mercury-Chiron conjunction on May 6th, everything that was revealed to you, everything that you were taught about this, everything that came to the surface during this, if you refuse to go through the external changes and the death of the old, bringing in the new, it's lacking foresight. It's like, it's on you because you're not seeing the future very clearly. And even though you can't see the future very clearly, it's important to make these external changes to rid yourselves of these wounds, even if it takes a while to do, because it could take 2 years to do until Chiron exits Aries. It could seriously take that long. And I feel like the lack of foresight with this Three of Wands in reverse is maybe you feel that these external changes should just take a day or a week or a month. And I believe that that card came out to show you that that is lacking foresight, that the changes, the external changes in regards to your core wounding could take a year or two to change, to let go of, to move forward, to act like a new person who is seen and heard, and really from a place of non-wounding, not trying to be seen or heard from a place of wounding, but from a place of being healed. And if you can look at it as that is, look, I've already uncovered these. I know where my shortcomings are with these inner core wounds. I understand where I may have not stood up on my own 2 feet to show my presence and be an individual and not be codependent and not be people pleasing and not play the martyr or not play the victim or not give myself over to others and not leave anything for myself. It's going to take some time, because if you've been doing that for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it's not going to happen overnight. Those changes are not going to happen overnight, but you must begin those external changes. That's what must happen, is you must begin those external changes. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope you got a lot out of understanding this Mercury-Chiron conjunction. I want to thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Click on the bell, scroll up to all for all notifications. Thank you for giving the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with others who enjoy astrology and want to learn more. Thank you so much for your support of my YouTube channel. You can purchase one of my 11 published books. You can book a reading with me, and I'll see you in the next video.